Xarok, who is in Texas. I believe I'm saying your name right, sir. Xarok, can you hear us?
Xarok.
Xarok, how you doing?
Almost.
Getting there?
Yeah, it's okay. I wanted to talk about kind of transhumanism and mostly my belief is that I think technology should be advanced to the point where death becomes optional for people.
Optional for people to what? Like
death becomes optional.
Oh, death becomes optional. Oh, okay.
So basically what he's trying to say here, if I'm correct, is that possibly moving our consciousness into computers so that we can live forever. Am I correct in that?
Any situation in which death is an optional, like you could do that, or through like rejuvenation of the human body.
Yeah.
Any technology where death becomes just an option and not a necessity.
Huh. Yeah, I don't know. Like if death becomes just an option, I guess that'd be cool. But I don't know if that's even a thing. I don't know. Matthew, you would probably know more about this. You do identify as a transhumanist, right?
I do.
For those, because that's kind of a different term for most people. Could you explain just in a nutshell what transhumanism is? Because I know it's a kind of a broad philosophy, but for
it is. And please, I do not consider myself an expert in transhumanism by any means. I am somebody who is learning stuff all the time too. So, but as best as I can explain it is using technology in the betterment of our lives and ourselves as people. So if we can do that by life extensions, like I wear glasses, that's the first advancement in transhumanism, being able to correct vision. So, but what Xarok is basically saying is making death an option. So as I see it I'm sorry, did I say your name incorrectly?
Just the emphasis is on the other one, Xarok.
Xarok, I apologize.
Like Barack Obama. No, wait, Xarok.
Oh, no, other way.
But anyway, so it's like, as I see it, possibly moving our consciousness into computers so we can kind of be like mechanical beings after our human corpse wears away, because there's only so often and so much you can do to rebuild it. So, but you can keep rebuilding mechanical things as many times as you want.
Yeah.
As long as it's not totally destroyed.
I guess we still have to figure out the question of whether or not we can actually transfer consciousness to machines, and whether or not that thing in the machine is us as a consciousness. That's a whole can of worms, right?
That is a whole can of worms.
What is that? There's that video game, I believe,
Soma.
Soma, thank you. Soma, that's all about that. You should definitely check that out if you haven't. It's literally a game about a guy who finds himself in kind of a machine body and is trying to get his consciousness out into space because the world has ended and stuff. Very, very interesting stuff. Really makes you think about who we are and like what composes us as people. But death being optional. I gotta say, as a secular humanist, I've thought a lot about right to death. And this is more of the idea of, when reaching a certain point in your life, where maybe a sickness has overcome you or some other ailment, and you're making the decision to end your own life. And that's kind of, this is almost the reverse that you're talking about, where it's like, no, I want to have the option not to die, please. I'd like to keep going on forever, which is really fascinating. I don't know. I think I guess that'd be cool. But I have to imagine that at some point there's a limit to it, as far as what we can keep going for as long as we can. I mean, whatever's going to be in the machine I don't know if it's going to ever be a one-to-one thing as what humans are, right? Maybe it will be. I don't know. There's a lot of variables there, right?
Well, you can also look at it this way. I apologize. Please go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I don't know, presuming we could come up with a robot or a machine that mimics a neuron. I've heard of this idea where you have neurons replacing brain cells as they die, just one by one, until the entire brain has been replaced with the machines that make these little neurons. And that would be a very complete way to transfer your consciousness into a machine without without like accidentally making a copy of yourself or something that you don't want.
So a slow reproduction of Asimov's positronic brain, kind of.
Okay, yeah. I actually did not know where that concept came from, so
Isaac Asimov.
I heard it somewhere. Okay, yeah, cool.
There you go.
It was also on Star Trek with Lieutenant Commander Data, too. He had the positronic brain.
We're getting into some real nerd territory here, folks.
Rock the fuck on,
We're doing Isaac Asimov and Star Trek. This is about as nerdy as Truth Wanna gets, right here. But no.
Hey, don't make me break out a D20.
Oh, Jesus. Get that man away from the camera.
Hey, man, I'm lawful evil. We're polar opposites.
Okay. All right. Real truth time. I have never played a game of Dungeons and Dragons in my life. Eric Murphy has tried to get me to play it, I think, and Jamie. It's never actually happened yet. We'll see. I'd love to try it one day. If a bunch of people who watch Truth Wanted came to the studio and said we want to play D&D with you, I would probably do it. But I don't know. That's a whole other thing.
It's great fun.
Yeah. But anyway, okay, kind of, putting a tail end to this conversation here. I think in principle, I would say yes. Like, I think that should be an option people should have if we can determine that the process of doing so is safe enough and reliable enough to kind of, make that happen for people. Because again, going back to this idea of right to death, well, if I believe that people should have a right to choose when they should die under very specific circumstances, right? Limited circumstances, then I should also, on the flip side, shouldn't have a problem with people having the right to choose not to die and keep going on in whatever form they choose. So, yeah, I think I'd say I agree.
I also don't think there should be consequences to suicide. If I decide to end my life, that I still think that my wife should be able to get my death benefits. Some cases, it's not always allowed if somebody commits suicide. So there's both ends of the spectrum there.
Interesting. Well, thanks for bringing up a crazy different topic from what we're using.
Oh, I loved it. Thank you very much.
Really, really cool. And
I provide like another alternative definition of transhumanism.
Yeah, lay it on us real quick.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, I always think of it as like using technology to allow humans to live in any way they want to. So like in any form or any body that they would like to as well. And then including not dying, obviously. So that's just my go-to definition.
Cool. Transhumanism, folks. Read up on it. Xarok, whoever you'd like to pronounce it. Thanks again. And
thank you very much for your phone call. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Good stuff. If the definition of transhumanism is like, interested in using technology for the betterment of humanity, then I guess I would call myself a transhumanist too. Although, like, I know that there's, certain literature to that. And also transhumanists who like to try crazy stuff on, like, the biohackers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's a whole other can of worms.
You can also look at it in certain ways, too, that what we're doing right now is transhumanist. Because these voices that we're recording right now will go on into prosperity as long as humanity survives in some kind. Yep. As long as they find a way to keep going with the internet or store this in some way, our conversation will keep going. That's transhumanist.
Hold on, Matthew. You're making the assumption here that this conversation is for the betterment of humanity. And I would not make that assumption, sir. I think that, it could go either way, to be honest with you.
Well, I think it's entertaining to some extent.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so we're going to go to another caller here. I want to get to next Brett in Boston. Hey, Brett, you're on the line here with Truth Wanted. What is up?
Hey, fellas, how's it going?
Dude.
Good.
Have a great night. It is okay, so real quickly, in Austin this week, it was like 90. Today, it was like a 48. It's crazy. The weather is just absolutely insane today. But other than that, really
in Chicago, it was 70 earlier today, and it's going to be 34 tonight.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, cold fronts happening all over the place.